Sanbonani and welcome to Daily Thetha namhlanje njengoba izwele nje uspikile sivule ngaye namhlanje we talk about fat and set ekuthenini impilo yokukipita abanye abantu bayabona njengento embi but abanye bathi inama benefit ekuyona abanye bekhala nanokuthi kwesinye isikhathi you'll find ukuthi before uhlale nomuntu kuyakusiza ukuthi ongenani umazi lezo nyangana or iminyakana but abanye futhi abesifazana bakhala ukuthi abantu ababenefita kakhulu kule mpilo yokukipita abantu besilisa ngoba ibona abathatha kakhulu. Wanna find out from you ekhaya ukuthi uthini umbono wakho about this fonele thola nasenkundleni zokuxhumana mhlawumbe ngomunye wabantu abakipitile usitshela ama benefit akhona or ukuhlukumezeka kwakhona. That's what we're talking about namhlanje on Daily Thetha Nicolette. Angaze ngikipite lokungazalwa and ngiyacabanga ukuthi wangibuka nje mangithi ngakungazalwa lokungazalwa angaze ngize ngikipite
ngale 4 days a weekend
nalokho kubana njengokukipita lokho ukuvakasha lokho. But we want to find out today ngempela ukuthi kukhona an obuhle that can come out ukuthi abantu beqale ngokuthi bathi fat and set or njengoba ama cultures nezinkolo zethu zikuphikeza zithi cha akuvumelekile but 2018 na izinto seshintshile ne
izinto zishintshile but iculture ngathi mani inokusalela emuva and that's what we're going to be discussing bekhono nakalibitso ke na Nicolette waka Mashile ngwana wakwa Bushback Rich Mapulaneng yathola kankamatsore nikise fortune waka Madlala. But let's jump straight into the conversation the audience ya rona. Abuti Speaker are uja mahala kapa wanyala.
Okay, ngusiphelelo Thetha ndiyabulela sisi. Mna sisi believe ba awutyi imali.
Okay.
Qala ngokuyobhatala ube sobuya isitya imali.
Ubhatala ntoni?
Kaloku sisi wami into ihamba kanje lento. I-respect ihamba nothando. So into enzekayo awukwazi ba nihloniphane elithandweni.
Okay, angabhatalanga.
Ungakwazanga uba kubekho isivumelano phakathi kwakho nabazali bakhe.
Okay.
So kufuneka kube njalo ke siwami kuze yonke into ihambe kakuhle.
And I think maybe that's another conversation no sense rebellion na mogadeli tsa gore na lobola yo isiplaling bo dignity bo respect isiplaling gabuti. Why is it that a person has to be paid out lobola for? Maybe we need a better understanding gore na lobola le yona ke eng and what type of role does it play when it comes to fat and set.
Let's come back to the fat and set. Next to me I do have Justice yena ke ngokwakhe kwamphoqa kwangesinto ayefisayo but wagcina beqale baqala bahlalisana and egcineni nakho konke wenza okulungile kubazali. Justice, tell us the story sakho ukuthi kuza kanjani ugcina uhlala nengane yabantu ungayilobolile.
Hi, igama Justice ngisuka ngisethembisa. Kwayenzeka ukuthi gaba nokuxabana nefamily khona lapho the time aqeda ukuthola umntwana then I decide ukuthi uzomove umntwana naye ekhaya bazohlala bonke. So I decision ngayithatha ukuthi ngamele kuyolungisa izinto emuva. Sahlala isikhathi sonke sibabili then ngathola imali ngabhadala damage yomntwana. Also ngamkhiphele half yolobola ukuthi ama family azokwazi ukuzwana kube nama amendments khona lapho.
You know abantu ekhaya ba complain. I was checking enye Facebook comment bathi uyasifihla lento ekhuluma ufizo awujikisela ikepisi lakho zobe kubone kahle ukuthi uwe ngempela lokhuluma lakho. So wena uthi kukhona obuhle ekukipiteni kwabantu.
Yeah, kuyaphuma okuhle ekukipiteni kwabantu. For real, kuyaphuma because now you get to know each other well. Nsase khona lapho ku fat and set. But if you wanna grow together, there's something need to be done. Ngoba ngeke uthatha umntana abantu uzohlala naye nje ekini nje.
Uyazi ukuthi ubana ukuphikisa nangu Neli la eceleni kwami. Neli uyamphikisa ukuthi kukhona ubuhle ongafika wathi mabekipitile.
Yebo ngiyakuphikisa Justice ukuthi kukhona ubuhle ophumayo abantu mabakipitile ngoba mina ngikipita for 4 years kodwa ayikho into enhle ephumile. Into ephumile nje kuphuma unzondo nongasazwani kwabantu.
So kwaphuma inzondo nongazwani nabantu and wangasifeza isithembiso sakho wathi uzokushada ngekhathi niqala ukipita.
Yebo bekumele abe alobolile kumanje njengabe sengifake nje indandatho ecela umuntu
kodwa ayikho ayikho Justice yabona. But let's find out on social media ukuthi abantu bathina about the topic namhlanje Nicolette.
Uritebo Khothabiso Khumalo, I think to my understanding fat and set is okay because angeke ngihlale nomuntu engamazi ukuthi unjani. She can't cook or clean or even tidy where you stay and you think you will marry that person. I don't think so. Angivumelani naye. Asize maybe Thandi, do you think ukuthi this fat and set situation ngathi benefits amadoda more than the woman?
Okay, hi. I'm Thandi. Yeah, I think the men benefit more because they have that thing now. They want to believe that because they are household, they are heads of the house. They want to take control of everything, and that's how they benefit most in most cases. But other than that, they don't give women much power to really say anything. You understand? It's always been the old tradition of stuff of how everything should be done. The woman must clean and stuff like that, and it's not like that. We don't need them. You understand?
But let's unpack this thing also as a woman to woman, me and you. Let's talk about this. Because if you are udula ko faten set, akara gona lenyalo. So why do you feel the need to cook and clean and do all these things? If he's saying gore apela ka go nyala. So ha pateli the full rent, ha kensa ko medical aid. If he's not playing the husband duty, why do women feel pressure ya go dlala the wife duty?
I don't know. I feel like some women are just stuck up on this love game. And hey, I said sebetsa ntho matsatsing because I patali di rent. So ga sokola rona tlampe motho o shabane le motho o mo phele o etse dintho tse ngata yena a patale next a o etse next, come on. Now I don't believe in that.
Hurry, come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps, Kini, if we can pass it that side by you, how does, if it does, where does the woman's role come in? And maybe perhaps back to my sister, because my sister Alang, maybe if the intention was to marry her and the marriage didn't come out, did she discuss this thing? It's not happening.
I think cabanga kakhulu ezingena kuyona as well, but Tebogo, you have an opinion wena ebalekile futhi kakhulukazi ukuthi abantu besifazane bakhala namanje ukuthi ibenefitisa abantu besilisa kakhulu lento yokukipita, but why are you guys still nivuma kuyona ke Tebogo?
Well, mina igama ngutebogo ngiphumethokoza. Well, mina I was married and never did this thing Faten said. But what I can tell is that ukuthi whether you are in Faten said or in marriage, you still go through the same thing.
What do you mean by that?
Like kufana izinto abosisi abazikhalelayo ukuthi egcineni abantu bagcina bangasakhulumisana ugcina kubana nenzondo endlini. So communication is what construct and unite people, right? And personality and behavior it ngizothini askis into edetermine umuntu ukuthi kahle kahle yini into uyifunayo empilweni, yini into enizimisele yona in a relationship.
Angazi noma mhlawumbe ngabe sengibuza umbuzo olwayo noma ngiza kusolomzi la eceleni kwami ekuthenini, if umuntu ekwi-Faten set situation mhlawumbe kuyafana yini ama roles akhona noma eseshadile or kumele kube khona isimo la uphasa khona ukuthi usungena emshadweni ke manje, if niqale ngokuthi nihlale ndawonye ngokukipita?
For mina dependa ngabantu ukuthi nina kahle kahle nizimiseleni with one another. But for mina ama roles I think mele I escalate. They have to go to another level as soon as you are married. Because when you are married, there's little hope, but not that there's 100% hope ukuthi nizohlala forever. But ama vows now do count for something. Yabona. So if ever ama procedures ama lobolo na yenziwe, abantu bayakwazi ukenzani ukuthi bakwazi ukusacrifice ukuba ipride kahle kahle ukuthi babe proud bathi hayi ngaphuma kulo muntu lo because they are married.
But Solomzi unelade ekhuluma into ebalekile ukuthi nina abantu besilisa nikuthembisa abantu besifazane before nihlale nabo ukuthi nizokwenza into elungile egcineni nakho konke ningabe nisakwenza lokho ngoba senithola ama benefit amahala.
Okay, lenta ayikhulumayo iqiniso kodwa I mean I do not want to dwell kakhulu kule ndaba ukuthi abantu besilisa. We promise sonke sipromisana amanga. Females promise us lies. Same applies to women, yabo. So lento le nje ikayichu. Just lento le sebenza ngelucky. If ever you are lucky to find someone who matches you, you are lucky. But in a lot of cases, abantu bayenza ama mismatch, yabo.
Cool. Yo, yathanda ukushuba ke le ndaba njengamanje and so ke sizwe na ukuthi wena ekhaya ubona kanjani. Mhlawumbe usifonele ku 0113391315 or usithole on social media enkundleni zokuxhumana ke i-hashtag yakhona le balekile, it's Daily Thetha.
Hi beauty urikreile ko social media are once you act like a wife's role, he will never marry you. Baleka ngenyawo zombili sisi wami, do not sell yourself, you are worth it. And I think that's the question that we have to be asking lekgono gore na Faten set yo ya bereka na, and if it does work, what are some of the rules that people need to play within that space ya Faten set gore e kgone go bereka? And bo aus ba rona re buang if o nyaka lenyalo bua
asizweni kubantu sibasebenzele ningabasebenzelanga ekhaya sifonele assignment se breaking siyabuya after this.
Nyare lukile botau khara utlwa ka tsaka morakile hale mai.
Welcome back to Daily Thetha bafethu. Sikhuluma ngendaba yokuhlalisana ukuthi khona ubuhle obuqhamuka khona because abantu benezathu zohlukahlukene ukuthi bakipite. Asizweni asebeke basithola kuleso simo ukuthi umbono wabo uthini ngale arrangement. We do have usisi ujabulile sibiya. Welcome to Daily Thetha sis.
Thank you very much.
As well as Paul Gift Chati. Welcome to Daily Thetha mfowethu.
Yabonga baba.
Mfowethu ake ngiqale kuwena sisi ujabulile esikhathini ozithole esimeni se-arrangement ukuthi makuhlaliswane nanikade nixoxile ukuthi nifunani ngalento noma wavele nawe waphoseka nje.
Okay, ikanje le ndaba siyahlangana siyathandana and then I think after a month or so he started saying lokhu uzovakasha ngihlala ngiwani ize sizohlala sonke. So ngokubona ngathi i-relationship yami naye is solid. Ngathi hayi ithi ngihambe ngiyohlala naye
After
vele. Like 1 or 2 and bengihlala nomngani wami, so she was the one who was paying rent. So ngabona kimi kuyi advantage ukuthi okay ngiyohlala no guy na ngikhokhe phela. So ngahamba ngahlala naye but bekumnandi sithandana vele sayiphusha and then there was a time ngaba pregnant. Sibe right until the pregnancy. Mangiba pregnant ngaqala manje ngiyabona ngathi ngithandana ngiyi-1 la. Yabo. Mfethu wayebuye ebusuku like bengibhizi endaweni so hey basibamba inkunzi kuphi umuntu sekaqala aba neyitorinyana. Akusafana le time sisajola nje nginganasiso. And then it went through and through until umntwana waba khona. Each and every time mangabe ngimbhaqa ayenza something obviously ngihlala naye akufani nomuntu ungahlali naye. So I'll be insecure, I'll be very jealous and then at times sisaqala ifone yakhe bekayibeka noma ikephi. Mayikhala awungayi pick up akunankinga.
Ibingena password.
Ibingana password. When saying pregnant manje hayibo issue iqale lapho. Why fanele kusine password?
Jabulile, I want to ask you a question. It would have been different if beagonyetse. With all these things because it sounds as if dynamic kenning relationship pregnancy yangwana. Not necessarily because Bailey fat and Thetha.
You know, from where I am now, ngibona ngazuthi umlisa naye wathathwa lokho kwakumthathile mhlawumbe ukuthi uzohlala nami yabo. But there was no love. I will be honest, there was no love because uthe mase sicabana kakhulu mase kangitshela ukuthi mfethu angikushadanga and mina ngisi type yakho. Uyabona ukuthi buhlungu. Yeah. Like
Nisile nina.
I'll see type yami. And at that point bengenza i-retail management and angitshela ukuthi ama type akho ale ku retail. So mina uyazi ukuthi buhlungu njani leyo nto. I would cry athi ukhalela ukuthi angisakuthandi angisakufuni. So I think kube kuthiwa mina ngabekezela ngahlala la bengihleli khona kwa develop that relationship while I'm away from him, not playing the wife whatever into ezowumfazi mina ngabe mhlambe ngabe sase sonke.
Sisijabulile asixolise kakhulu ngento yakwehlakalela. Asisho ukuthi abona bonke abantu besilisa abanjalo but bakhona abanjalo. Let me jump to you Gift. Wena ke njengomuntu wesilisa isikhathi esiningi abantu bathi abantu besilisa ibona ababenefita kakhulu when it comes to ama-fat and set. Yini inkinga yakho ke wena?
Ithi ngikutshela story sami. I grew up in a family where umama bathi mina ngifuna abazukulu. And I was well raised, that I can say. Now I meet a lady, I was staying at varsity. And then she came by to visit and mafika azovakasha. It happens that she left something. I won't say it. It's a private thing. Okay. And now my share something ekaya in my place actually. Next time when she comes, she leaves another thing. Now another
then the house take over.
Yes, actually. And by the end of the day, she'll be telling me ukuthi ekaya bankoshile. Okay. Now I had to move out of varsity, ngihambe ngiyo rent a room. And now I was taking care of her. Now this thing yokuthi abadoda yibo benefita kuphela is a lie. Me personally, I was taking care of her. Bengithenga grocery, I had to buy things ngokuthi bengana izinto. Like I didn't have a bed because I was using umbed varsity. I had to buy from scratch everything. Now I had to transport her to go to school. She even graduated now. Me nangimise esikoleni. So it's only a matter of ukuthi ubani adlala phi role in a relationship. Actually, she had a role that she was playing in my life, and I had a role also that I was playing in her life. So you both
benefited in a
yeah, actually, I can say we both benefited, although things did not end well. Yes.
Okay, I need to get a better understanding. When she moves in, because
yes.
What discussions are you having with this young lady to a point where you are now making a financial decision to move out of res, just to accommodate her?
Okay, Sis Nicole, I can say ukuthi when you love someone and you tell yourself ukuthi this person I want to spend the rest of my life with, you can make any decision, even though you know good is something you are not capable of doing, but you can do that thing. Mina, I said good because I love this person. When I see her, I see a wife material. So I wanna spend the rest of my life with her. So I'm just gonna move in with her, and when I know that I am financially stable, I can send Abu Malu.
Mpo, I want to ask you again
Yes.
my question. What conversation are you having with her? Because what it sounds like is that you were being a hero and you came in with a hero syndrome. And yes, you were doing, there's nothing wrong with what you did, right?
Yes.
And you've saved this young lady because bamtoshila it's Kaibugo.
Yes.
Engisbuzayo mina ukuthi, what conversation are you having with her? Are you saying ukuthi, baby girl, uhlalalana temporarily until we can get you out of this situation?
The conversation we had, it was this. I'm going to be with you as much as I can.
Yes.
And then ngizothumela abomalume ukuthi bakulobole.
Okay.
That was the agreement we had.
Okay, so you were going to marry her?
Yes, I was going to marry her.
And she had agreed?
She had agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take your calls as well, sis, uthini khaya about this, because ngayi discuss nje la uthothi nombono wahlukahlukene wena. Queen in Controlville, welcome to Daily Thetha, ma'am.
Yebo baba.
Ninjani ma?
Hello.
Yebo ngiyabuka njani?
Sikhona i-TV yakho ivuliwe yini ngoba sizwe ngathi siyazizwa ngapho ngemuva.
Awa ngiqinile.
Okay. Uthi nombono wakho ma?
Voluma ngiqineke.
Okay, no ayikho inkinga ke sesikulala siyakuzwa manje ungakhuluma. Yebo mama. Umbono wakho?
Mina le ndaba ye-pattern set baba. Ibathi nje kuphela ukuthi umuntu angabuloboli maku-pattern set ngoba mina nginosisa abayi-2 ne. Yes, ngothathu nginosisa abayi-2 and then boyi-2 sonke nje siqala ukuhlala ku-pattern set and then bona baloboliwe while baku-pattern set. And then mina ngalotshelwanga ngihlukane ne-boyfriend yami. So baba nje ukuthi ibhadi yami ukuthi ngingalotshelwa ngiku-pattern set. Abantu babalekele mangithathe ukuthi mawuhleli ku-pattern set ngeke uzishade ngoba bona bashadile.
Okay. So siyakuzwa ngenxa ulayini wakho ngemhle kahle uzocela ukuthi sinqamule njengamanje but siyathola umbono wakho ukuthi ingakusebenzela wena but omunye umuntu ingamsebenzele as well because usisi bakho ababili bakwazi ukuthi basebenzele. Celeste, what's your take out of this?
Okay, I think that a relationship or a marriage rather is a bond and it's not necessarily defined by having a ring or taking out lobola. We have glamorized the whole narrative of lobola. So women might look at it as something that qualifies them as women, and then men might look at it as something that, like buying a woman, having some sort of right ownership of the woman. But that's something that we need to thought away from, because when you stay in together, you might be able to establish grounds for balance. You might be able to learn the person. You might be able to learn about how to spend together, how to plan for the future together. That might be the basis for actually bettering your relationship. So it goes either way. It's not only the centralization of black people, but also we need to look at other cultures and how they deal with the whole situation. They might have the same situation of cohabiting, and they might make the best out of it, but not necessarily looking at it as how black people would look at it, as having gender roles and everything that way. So it blurs the gender line to some extent.
Okay. Jabli, let me come to you. Sisi ngifuna ukwazi kuwena ukuthi akhona ama-benefit owawabonakho as much as izinto mhlawumbe zingaphelanga kahle ekuthenini mhlawumbe ukipete nomuntu umlisa okipete naye.
Mina ngizosho nje ukuthi yena beka umuntu alright because bengasebenzi isikhathi esiningi vele mangihlala naye umsebenzi ngiyawuthola nini ngawuthola, so he made sure ukuthi ngiyadla, he made sure ukuthi ngiyagqoka, yonke into ngiba settled, but bekungana respect. And then nami futhi at the very same time I was making sure that he sleeps on the clean bed, udla ukudla okuwarm every day, and I would wash for him in such an extent ukuthi uzothi noma ebuya la buya khona I will make sure ukuthi ngiyawash, ngiyizwe door ukuthi iyanuka. Uyabona ukuthi ke sengihlalele in ama wrong reasons just because I'm benefiting, which is very wrong.
Okay, sakuzwa kahle sisi, but asikutshele ukuthi masibuya la siyadingida udaba lethu mhlawumbe ufuna ukwazi sikhuluma ngani, nazi zaqeqe sikuphathele zona.
A person is not a book, so there's no chapter 1 or chapter 30.
It's a whole different ball game. They grow up and they choose their own path.
When you are ready, you will know, because it's hard work. You have to commit every single day.
Fatten said destroy the covenant that we enjoy through marriage. So it's very important that when you stay with somebody, you have that blessing of that marital covenant. So I don't really encourage fat and set.
We believe in celebrating love and in celebrating marriage. What better way to do it than in absolute elegance and style as we have today?
Especially in the African culture, I think marriage is something that we believe Christianity, it was created by God. And you know, from the African background, it's something that one needs to go for. So I wouldn't advise and promote fat and set.
People date people for 2 years, 4 years without fat and set. They get married for 20 years. Some people choose to do fat and set, and then the next thing you have a real breakup, like you people were genuinely married, and the guy or the girl marries a guy 3 months down the line. So I don't think fat and set helps.
I'm a believer that marriage is that sacred union, and it should be something that it takes you your whole life to look forward to. So when you start with the fat and set, you've already lost that part of looking forward to getting married, because you're already staying together with your boyfriend or your girlfriend.
Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace. Keep us space so we'll be safe.
When you are married, marriage is all about trading weaknesses for strength. So your weaknesses is your partner's strength, and your partner's strength will feed from your weaknesses. So when you get married, where you are lacking, your wife will lift you up. Where she's lacking, you lift them up. That is one of the benefits.
I don't recommend fat and set. Know the person well. You know in your heart of hearts whether it's the right person or not.
Some people believe that you need to understand your partner properly before you commit. But for me, if you follow your heart, love is love and marriage is marriage.
My honest opinion is that you will only ever really know a person once you say, I do. Because you don't have to prove anything anymore. So the realest people show themselves in marriage. But of course, it's important to get to know each other before that. I don't necessarily think you have to be in a fat and sit. We got to know each other. We only stayed together once we got married, and we're still happily married.
Welcome back to Daily Thetha. As Likwile on the inside, fat and set. What are some of your beliefs? And also, why do na? And if we do meli, why also do meli? We are joined on the couch by Thetha and Tate William Mazibuko. Thetha is an editor of Marriage Affairs magazine, and Tate William Mazibuko is an inheritance lawyer. Gentlemen, welcome to Daily Thetha.
Thank you.
Let's get straight into the conversation. And get a better understanding. It seems as if but the issue of culture, the issue of religion. Perhaps maybe let's start with those two, maybe religion more of, and get a better understanding religion when it comes to people staying together.
Okay. Well, as far as the religion is concerned, there's a certain process and order on how things are supposed to happen when it comes to a household environment.
Yeah.
So, and one of those, they come from the spiritual context of what every part of that sphere would mean.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, for instance, if we talk fat and set, biblically we talk about purity of the physicality and intimacy, where we're saying sex before marriage is not okay, is a sin. Now, when now you have fat and set and you are in a romantic relationship, that allows for you to be more tempted than you would have been if you were not staying together.
Okay.
So it directly leads now to a point where you will start finding yourself engaging, in an act that will be a sin in a biblical context.
Okay, but maybe perhaps in the context of today. I understand in biblical sense, and the fact that it's a fat and set, you're put in a situation where you are now tempted. So it's almost like a space for it to thrive.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, the modern day now.
Yeah.
Because in the modern day, whether they're staying together or not, intimacy is happening.
It still happens.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, the modern day is one of those the microwave days. You know, everything is just instant. Like the other guest was saying that a person moves in without you even knowing that they've moved in. And unfortunately, when you do fat and set, you're exposing yourself into a lot of things. Because the institution of marriage, one of the biggest things that it's at least is providing is the accountability. Because under fat and set, there isn't any accountability. Most probably the parents don't know about it. And if anything happens, there is no trace, you know, to trace it back, the issue of accountability. And most people have said so, rightfully so, that most of the things that are happening in fat and set, they still happen in marriage. You know, there's no proof of saying, you know, if I do it the marriage way, I won't be mistreated. But unfortunately, the biggest thing for me is the issue of accountability. So as much as it could be a shortest route, a possibility, but you have cut that umbilical cord of being accountable, of your partner being accountable to someone, meaning now the family, Abu Malume, and everyone else.
Makes sense.
Baba, Nzima, I guess sizogwena silwise lolu daba lelo. Ngifuna ukwazi lapha esimeni whereby abantu bakipitile sinokuzinto eziningi bethi kuthiwa mawukipitile for 4 months, for 6 months, so ungakwazi ukuthi nawe kube khona izinto ozitholayo kuleyo relationship. Uprotecteke kangakanani umuntu osuke ekipitile? Ikhona nilungelo analo?
Legally, currently in South Africa, we have 3 forms of intimate relationships that are regulated. It's your civil marriage, civil union, as well as customary marriages. Those are regulated now, and they enjoy certain benefits. When it comes to issue of, I'll use the term domestic partnership. Currently, we have a bill. It's a domestic partnership bill, Notice 36 of 2008. It's not yet promulgated into an act of parliament to regulate that those types of intimate relationships. Then the problem, it comes with protection as to how do you enforce certain legal rights. That's where the problem starts, because currently in South Africa we don't have a legislation that regulates that environment. So
asibuke icase ka sesijabulile la ahlale khona with someone for 4 years contributing naye, let's say kukhona nezinto azithengile ngoba kade behlala ndawonye, engakwazi ukubuyela back athi cha kumele sihlukanise into ezithize because nami ngicontributile ezintweni ezikhona la endlini.
that's where the problem legally will arise, on the basis that on dissolution of that relationship, if you run to court, it's unlike a marriage where it's a recognized marriage. In terms of the Divorce Act, it's not applicable in this particular type of relationships, the domestic partnerships. Then if you don't have a form of a contract that regulates that relationship, it's going to be difficult for the courts of law.
We can draw up a cohabitation contract.
You can draft a contract that regulates your relationship, and it will assist at the end if, for example, it's in a case of death or dissolution of that relationship, as to the contribution that you made, how are you going to share amongst yourself and other legal duties that comes with that relationship. For instance, in a marriage, you know that there will be the issue of maintenance. You can enforce those rights. But in this one, you can't enforce certain legal rights. So you are actually limited in terms of the options legally that you have.
Okay, that's very interesting. We do have a Facebook message coming in from Tabi saying Mapisa Ari. I personally think fat and set is okay. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's basically marriage before marriage. It enables you to learn to live with your partner, knowing them in any way. Know what type of person he or she is a little bit better. And that's what we're talking about. Fat and set na ya go berekela na if o go yona gona bya lowa, or if maybe with Kawizama and it did not work. Please stay with us after the break.
Welcome back to Daily Thetha. Lapho khona sinikeza abantu abasha ithuba lokuthi bavoice ama-opinions wabo about ama-topic ahlukahlukene njengoba sikhuluma ngayo njengamanje nje. Sikhuluma ngaleyo kukipita ke namhlanje ibuhlungu kakhulu ngoba ngathi shaya khona emqolweni kwabanye abahlukahlukene. But let's go to our callers wethu. Thabo and Pretoria, welcome to Daily Thetha mfowethu.
Hello.
Hello Thabo.
Kunjani Thabo?
Ngikhona.
Khuluma nathi mfowethu.
Mina ngifike sambe fathi ayivumelekanga mara mina ngibelieve kuyo. Ngoba like kumele ngihlale ngazani ukuqala like ngihlale ngive-one ukuthi umuntu makwatile ukuphosa ngemali or lo muntu makwatile unjani ifoni izoshada ngoba abantu bayaqalana ngoba kushada ngamanyulu lapho namhlanje siyathandana.
Okay.
Next week ngiza kuye akwatile ukuthi yo ngiyamindeka then the following ngiyashada.
Okay Thabo usho into enephuzu eliphambili lama ukhuluma ukuthi ngokwesintu sakho alilunganga kodwa njengamanje wena uyavumelana nakho ngezathu zakhe ezahlukahlukene. Awulalela uma mphumula ukuthi uzothini ngalento oqeda ukisho njengamanje. Bukela ku TV, yeah?
Okay.
Siyabonga.
All right, we do have Usisuma Mpumla Madiba, who is a cultural expert. Mama, welcome to the show. Culture. Taboko wabuwa mama. Ore according to culture ya gaga wa idumela gore it's not right go etsa fat and set. But yena o feela gore you know tshwantse a tsebe motho a dulang le yena ama understand so that when they do get married it doesn't become conflict.
Well, the issue and the role of culture is very important for all of us in our diversity. And we get that culture directly from our families first and foremost, from our communities and from our society. And so as we grow up then getting socialized, definitely every family, community and society must have a purpose. There is a purpose. So as we walk along in our journey, we have a destination that we want to reach. And so there are rules of the game. So to compare then the cohabitation, I would like to put it that way, I don't know Afrikaans, and marriage. There's a process for every family or for every community and for every society. But fortunately or unfortunately, in our society, as Ubudi was saying, we have other rules that are determined by the nation, laws. We have our own rules in our families and in our communities, which we refer to as customary rules. And these tend to conflict. But there is a way in which you can align the two so that you find yourself in a comfortable position in your life. The family for me is the cornerstone of one's journey to one's purpose. And as a nation, definitely, we want to keep families because it is those parts that make a whole, this nation. It can't be a zoo, a jungle. Not at all. But then coming to the fat and set or cohabitation story, the question for me is, what is your purpose, both of you, for cohabitation?
So what's the intention?
What's the intention? Because when you have a man and a woman, a boy and a girl living together forever, definitely one purpose for sure will come to fruition. You will have children.
I think that's one question abantu when they start, do they talk about it? What are we trying to do? Or it's a matter of a situation. There's something in coming from Tulisi Lenda about cohabitation is not as bad as those people at the inside are saying. Okay, umehluko yini vele? ukuthi ushaye istep kwafaka amakoroko namasutu nering emnweni. The difference is as saying I do, you need to test drive your partner. I don't know about that, Xolani, ukuthi do you think ukuthi ngempela it's important for abanye abantu like uThulisile is saying ukuthi I need to test drive this ngoba even imoto ithenga esitolo sometimes unakho ukucela ukuthi abakuzwisi ukuthi ihamba kanjani.
Yeah, I think that is the concept that is out there.
Yeah.
It's very risky. I would say everyone is entitled to anything that they want to do, but there has to be sanity on the one who's been test-driven in this case. Because you cannot really put certain restrictions on the one who's test-driving. So we need to be sober enough. Again, like Umama was saying, what are the intentions? If this person is saying, move in with me, or I want to move in with you, am I being test-driven? What will happen in an event where I don't perform in the manner this person is expecting? Secondly, when I know that I'm being test-driven, have I been given my KPIs? Yes. I'm going to be measured on this and this and that. Because if that is not in place, then you are exposing yourself into a lot of risks. That's where now you find a lot of pregnancies that are not taken care of. And people now are kicked out on the street, and there are a lot of legalities also in terms of everything that you have contributed in that. So it's never wise to allow yourself to be test-driven. Whether your intentions is to keep the man or the lady or whatever it is, but it's never a good idea.
All right. Maybe let's come back to Mama Pumla. Mama Pumla, right? For financial reasons, let's say it makes economic sense. They're also in love, right? But for that economic reason, the one person right now cannot afford to go and pay ilobola, ekaya. Now, in a normal sense, but they'll say, "Tsamanglo saina, anker, tsamanglo saina ko homa fesi, linyale, it's finished." But culture says otherwise. Culture says you can't just go and sign. Ceremony. So, and you said something when you were speaking. You said we can align the two. If we're going to align, how do we align those two so that legally it works, but also culturally it works?
Firstly, when the two people come to sit or stay together for economic reasons, what are the rules? That's the first thing. The two people must have a contract, rules of the game. This economic reason for me is not convincing.
Okay.
Also, there is an understanding in this discussion that when you sit or you stay together, the purpose is that ultimately you will get married. The issue for me is, at what age do you stay together? Say, if you are 16, like the story that people were at varsity, studying, then they stay together. You mean already there's a purpose to get married. I suppose you're about 19 or 20. Are you going to get married at 20? That's too early, because already you don't have a purpose. Because marriage is about creating a family that's grounded.
Question, a quick one about Mazibugo. Abantu abaningi bathola sebethenga indlu ndawonye ngenxa ukuthi bayathandana and bahlala ndawonye. Ba protected in labantu should kwenzakala the unforeseen.
If it's a joint bond, then they are co-owners. Then you are protected. But if it's only one party who purchased that property, then the other party has limited right to enforce, for example, in a question where it's a dissolution of that relationship. You don't have a right, you don't enjoy the same benefit as someone who's married, because in a marriage, you check whether it's in community. Even if it's out, there are certain legal principles that apply to be put in a better position. But if it's in this domestic partnership and it's not regulated, then the other party does not enjoy much protection when it comes to the dissolution of that relationship.
All right.
Sizwa kahle kakhulu and masibuya la ebreakini so besikhuluma neaudience yethu ukuthi bona basabona ngokufana njengoba besiqalile uhlelo oseshintshile after sebenzile ama aspect wethu after athini la kwi culture sabe sebreakini siyabuya after this. Well, sakhona kwi-Daily Thetha namanje sikhuluma indaba yokukipita ukuthi ubuhle nobubi bayo as well nanokuthi ungaziprotecta kanjani kwi-situation enjengale. Let's go to Thandeka eBhulwa. Thandeka, welcome to Daily Thetha.
Yebo, sawubona Kini njani?
Sikhona siswami. Uyaphikisa wena lento yokukipita awuyifuna la ihambe khona?
Umkipito nje awuzange wabusiswa weBhutukeni. Umkipito ubusisiwe. Umuntu okipitile awubusisiwe umkipito nje into engabusisiwe. Uyabona Bhutukeni umzekelo engakwenzela wona.
Yeah.
Umuntu wesilisa une uthando ngesex.
Uncenga uthando ngesex umuntu wesilisa?
Angethi
umuntu wesilisa uncenga uthando ngesex?
Yebo, umuntu wesifazane uncenga naye uthando ngesex. Umuntu wesilisa ke amantombazane engifuna yazi uyokumphintshitha umntombi bakho njengomoba athi maseqedile akuphindiselele kude. Sathi bafana niyodlala amamesha. Iyahamba iyodlala amamesha emalokishini kodwa mase yodlala ifinal iyahamba udlala ko SABC stadium la kuzokhokhwa khona. Uyofunda yonke imikhuba. Impilo umuntu wesifazane ifana ne-driving school. Wonke umuntu ofuna ukudrive uyadrive ishayise enze yonke ama-class kodwa mase uthenga imoto entsha uthenga u-brand new akaphindeli kuleli aqala nase-driving school. Impilo nje ukukipita ayibusisiwe.
Siyakuzwa kakhulu sisi and siyahlonipha nombono wakho as well. Sibonga ube nosuku oluhle sisine.
Nawe.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Ngenxa yolayini sesheshe samdedela but sisineli into ayishoyo ngicabanga into obukade uyishilo nasekuqaleni wathi nawe ngoba uthi abantu besilisa bangimfimfitha njengomoba mase elahle ikhasi phansi ube seqhubekela komusha. Do you still believe the same thing even after abantu sibe nabo la phakathi?
Yebo, ngibelieve kanjalo iqiniso because umuntu uyakusebenzise maceda kulahle njengento azangayibona because now into ayishoyo vele thina like thina amantombazana ukuhlala nomuntu angakuthathanga ukuthi nje umuntu akudelele bese maceda nje ayenza into afuna ukuyenza ngawe akushiya njalo achubekele kwabaphambili. Yazi kubhlungu njalo uhlale nomuntu iminyaka sithi iminyaka oyi4 yonke uhlala nomuntu qeda thola omunye umuntu emva kwakho amshade. Ekubeni wena uhleli naye for 4 years kunengane lapho kodwa akunamphumela phambili. Usele wena
yini ezonisiza nina njengabantu besifazane because ngokubona kwami ngathi nina enihlukumezeka kakhulu ezimeni eziningi. Yini ezoprotect abantu besifazane ukuze bengagcini bengene kugibo wangena kulona wena?
Mina into engayisho ebantwini basifazana ukuthi guys let's man up siyimele sekukulibele sibheke ukuthi indoda izongenzelani indoda angeke ingenzeleni. Singakwazi ukuphila ngaphandle kwamadoda akusamadoda kuphela akusukuthi mawunganandoda angeke uphile. Naku mina ngiyaphila ngiyisingle mother ngiyayikhulisa ingane yami akukho kongihlulayo.
Okay, let's come to your side.
Maybe perhaps aribulwena sisiphumla rutla gorna are we not taking away arinki asithathi i-voice away from abafazi when we say ukuthi ifat and said ihlukumeza abafazi kuphela because umfazi uyakhona ukuthi akhulume if they're in an arrangement ukuthi yazithini angifuni 1 2 3 4 and ngicela ungitshele ukuthi uzongishada or cha and umuntu angakutshela ukuthi yazini angazi ngizokushada then you've got a choice to stay or leave.
Yes, in fact I think I like the comment Kasisi that people and women specifically must make up their minds and have a purpose for their lives and not be dependent. So that starts when you are younger. You can't start having that independence when you're older, which means at the start of your journey, you must have a purpose. That's my point. And it's not always true that it is the woman who is abused. Some men, even if there are fewer than women, they get abused. So that's why then I think it's not acceptable that you stay with somebody with whom you have no contract. So the marriage story, there must be a purpose. And the marriage between two people involves their families. And I want to touch on this issue of lobola. You know, this money thing, commercialization of unions or marriages is just not on. You know, lobola is believed to be a process or a stage before you get married. you get married. It happens afterwards, provided you involve your families, you involve your communities. And so it must, you know, this individual rights, that's what is spoiling the whole issue. You know, you belong somewhere, and this other person belongs somewhere. The union of those two families then must quickly get to start.
All right.
You know, masikhuluma about ukuhlukumezeka as well, we mentioned ukuthi abantu abaningi bacabanga ukuthi abantu besifazane kuphela abahlukumezelayo. I do have Mpho next to me. Mpho ngomunye wabantu wakwazi ukuthi at the age of 19 wasithola sewukipitile. Do you think ukuthi wahlukumezeka ekipiteni kwakho?
Yes, I can say that actually, because of mina, the purpose of ukuthi ngihlale naye, I don't think ukuthi it was the same reason naye ukuthi athi uhlala nami.
What was your purpose?
Mina was that at the end of the day, or when I reach a certain level whereby I can say I am now matured enough to be actually taking care of her fully, to be starting a family with her. That's when I was thinking that I would be marrying her. But to her, maybe it's like maybe she came with a certain purpose, which is not the purpose of marrying me.
At the age of 19,
yes.
Do you think ukuthi it was too early for you to even think about izinto njengomshado?
I think it has to do with a person.
Okay.
And the mindset that a person has. Mina, where I grew up, I didn't do much of dating when I grew up because I was told that respect umfazi. Because I was raised by a mother. When you see a wife, uma uthanda nomuntu, be with that person that you wanna marry. So with me, it was like, if I am to say I am ready, I can go for it.
What would you do right, njengamanje? Quick one.
About the situation.
Yeah. Into nje yakufundisa yona le situation yakho.
Ukuthi, you must try to understand the person before you move in with them. Understand ukuthi, what are the intention they have with you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's go to social media. Regardless of the times we live in, Fattenset is a destroyer of one's respect and their family's dignity. Again, you all say that you want to know your partner better, but the truth is you can never really know a person that well. Does culture need to adapt, maybe? And then the second question that I'd like to find out from you, Fattenset or Kamukadi Union, do they always have to end up in marriage?
Well, I think in terms of how humanity was created, especially if we understand it from a biblical and a Christian point of view, I think when God created, he created man, Adam, and this is after everything else, and then he created Eve, meaning that in God's mind, when he created everything else, he saw a family. So it has to end there at some point. And it cannot end there if the discussion never started to begin with, which is where now we see Fattenset, because now it means in some cases, people might even be misled. With the case Kampo, in case Kampo, his intentions was to marry her. But you'll find that people will be misled in the sense that I would say to you, you know what, Nicolette, can I stay with you? I'm going to marry you. But I know what I'm actually test driving.
Also, you're dangling a carrot.
I'm dangling that carrot so that at least you can respond in a certain way to what I want. And when I have that, fulfilled, and then I can move on. So it is important that we know our intentions up front. And the intentions don't start when now we're starting about, moving in together. The intentions start by the time I come to you and saying, I like you. That first date is critical in everything. That's where I will understand if we can be able to even move to that. Because if I ask you from that first date and say, do you even believe in marriage?
Noxolani ngenxa isikhathi mfethu komele sivale but sikuthethe conversation yethu yaqhubeka on social media kuyo yonke indlela ungakwazi ukuthi makukhona umbono okhona ushayele futhi as well but kusasa sinodaba olubalekile luthina lokusasa
raboya futhi re kwa ka bo bank seater mess seater cat seater re nyoko tsheba na di seater tsona dia bereka na are they effective and do they actually do their job and how regulated are they? Please do join us tomorrow 10:30 to 11:30 only on SABC 1.